Some people who supported Donald Trump are now starting to look back at other things like that assassination attempt. After the release of the Epstein files, people started to ask questions like, there's a cover up here, there's a cover up with Charlie Kirk's death. Could it be possible that there was a cover up with the Trump assassination attempt? Now, one of the things I paid very close attention to back then was that all of a sudden that story just disappeared. Like, you had someone allegedly try to assassinate a presidential candidate. He was still a candidate at that time. And all of a sudden, after Donald Trump appeared at the Republican convention and he had the bandage on his ear, next thing you knew, this was just out of the news. And that's because the accused was killed that same day. One of the things I brought up recently is that with the Tyler Robinson situation, it is very clear that Tyler Robinson apparently wasn't supposed to survive that day. And he did. And now you see there's an actual trial that is going to happen. And more people are asking questions. A lot of us have been asking questions. And we just don't believe that Tyler Robinson is the actual shooter, that he actually killed Charlie Kirk. But with the Butler, Pennsylvania assassination attempt, that alleged suspect was killed. And it was just really weird to me. Trump is not one to let things go. Trump still talks about the 2020 presidential election. Someone tries to assassinate you and you don't want to talk about that. You just let it go. So one of the people that did support Donald Trump was Tim Dillon. I always forget his last name. I don't know why. Tim Dillon. And Tim Dillon is now also looking into this. We're going to look into this along with him. Some other things that I got to tell you about as well. Listen to what Tim Dillon said here. He's a comedian, by the way. So he pokes fun at things as well as he talks about the news. But listen to this.
The press went wild about the assassination attempt thing I said in Butler. They're reporting it everywhere. And I'm like, well, number one, Joe Kent said it. He didn't say it was staged, but he said there's things about the assassination we don't know. And he said I wasn't allowed to investigate it. And he was like the deputy director he was the intelligence chief, the deputy czar of whatever the fuck these things are. And he was told you can't investigate it. Kash Patel's FBI said you're not allowed to continue to investigate the Butler shooting.
And where else have we heard that remark? Didn't they also say that about the Charlie Kirk thing? They said, that's it. This is open shut. That's the guy. Tyler Robinson is the one that did this. That's it. He's going to jail. It is what it is. Stop looking into this. Sound familiar?
Trump shut down the investigation. The administration shut it down. Kent was like, I was also blocked from investigating Charlie Kirk. Now, does Joe Kent want to run for political office? Obviously. Does he want to be the president? Yeah. Sure. Does he look at Vance's weakness and go, I can get in there? And then he looks at Rubio and he goes, well, the neocons are going to throw all the money to Rubio. And Joe Kent goes, I got a sharp jaw. He's got that jaw. He's got that look-smaxing jaw. Tell me Joe Kent doesn't look like Clavicular's dad, like he grew up. Joe Kent, get up Joe Kent, and then get up Clavicular. And Joe Kent, they look kind of similar. Like Joe Kent looks like the older version of Clavicular because he has that jaw. Very shapely. What's the term for that? And why am I not saying it when someone has a real cut jaw like that? Well, anyway, Joe Kent, he looks like a guy that would be president. So he wants to be the president. No, that's another.
Now, I could see Joe Kent possibly choosing to run for a political office. I could absolutely see that 100%. I could see that. But, put that aside for just a second. When we get to the actual footage, again, there's something that was pointed out here that I never paid attention to before. So let's go on a little bit more.
But Does that mean that he's making it up? Does that mean that Joe Kent's lying? I don't know. If he was lying, I feel like they would charge him with something, but he hasn't been charged with anything. So he's just coming out and he's saying these things. And then I, on my show, say what he said. They leave him out and they come at me. And my whole thing is this. And I'm not going to, I did it last week, so I'm not going to talk about it. I'm just saying, if Trump said I staged my own assassination attempt, I would not be angry. I would laugh. It would bring back some levity into this fucking goddamn world. It would be fun and silly. And if he sat down with Barry Weiss on CBS or whoever, Tony Dokapol or whatever, and explained how he did this, we would be riveted and we would be back to fun.
So that's an interesting point there. He brings up the Joe Kent situation, just another thing that Joe Kent wanted to look into a little bit further. And Trump and the FBI said, nope, we're all good here. We're not talking about someone, being shot, like just walking down the street and it's an average, Joe Schmo person. We're talking about an assassination attempt on the president of the United States. And it was very weird to me how all of a sudden that story just disappeared just like that. Then when we looked a little bit deeper, we found that the kid, who he looked like a kid to me, the kid that was accused of shooting Donald Trump, we found out that he had been in a BlackRock commercial. I don't know, like could have just been a coincidence, but it just seemed a little strange. Now he goes on and gets to this part here about whether or not it was a stage. Check this out.
Let's take a look again. Butler, Pennsylvania.
It's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
So we have to pause this part and go to this part.
Now, a lot of people say that when he gets up here, that the fact that he gets up and that they move very slowly and he goes, wait, and he comes back and they do the photo op. A lot of people are saying that's evidence. I'm not saying this, by the way. People are saying it's like letting him up like that when they don't know if there's another shooter.
That part right there. When this happened, I didn't think about that at that point in time. But how did they know that it was safe to tell him to get back up? How did they know? Because within that short time period, the accused shooter wasn't killed yet. How did they know that there were no other people around that could have been a shooter as well? You don't know. If any of you have ever gone through those active shooter drills, I had to do them at work. I hear nowadays people have to do it at school, which is pretty sad when you think about it. But I had to do it at work. One of the things that they teach you in the active shooter drills is if you hear gunshots, get down. Don't try to run because you could run into the shooter, but get down. If there's somewhere where you can hide, like a closet or whatever, hide in the room where you're in, but you get down and you stay down. That's what they teach you. I would imagine it would be no different for the president of the United States. But they let him get back up just like that. How did they know it was safe to do so? How did they know that the coast was clear? I didn't think about that at that time. A little bit more here.
A lot of people are saying maybe it's a staged assassination. I'm saying I don't care if it is. I think it was very well done. No, I mean, truly. I'm saying I don't care. That is important for our country, whether it was real or fake. It is the moment where George W. Bush stood into the rubble of 9/11, which they also might have done, and with the bullhorn said, "I hear you. People around the world hear you, and the people who brought these buildings down are going to hear from all of us soon." These are important moments in our country, whether they are real or fake.
Now, I want to say something here, right? Kyrie Irving, he had a video a couple weeks ago, and he said, the world is a stage. And even some of the things that we were taught about history as years have gone by, we found out that we were taught incorrect information. That's why I say question everything. The world is a stage. He was literally on a stage, but the world is a stage. Don't you guys find it a little bit strange looking back on it now? And we'll get a close up of this in just a second. There were photographers right there coming up to the front of the stage as Donald Trump got back up and put his fist in the air. That's how that picture was captured. How did they know that it was safe for photographers to stand up and take those pictures? How did they know that? Active shooter drill, get on the ground, stay on the ground until they tell you that the coast is clear. It's all coming back to me now. I'm like Celine Dion. It's all coming back. It's all coming back to me now.
Not every historic moment is going to be real. And if you think it is or has to be, you have an overly simplistic understanding of history. It was important, that moment when he said, fight, fight, fight. It was important. And this, look at the people here. Does it matter if it's real?
Again, nobody seems to be afraid. Anybody find this weird? Nobody seems to be afraid. If, and the way that I was raised, especially if you hear gunshots, duck down, duck down, get out, duck down, for one. But everybody just stands up chanting, and you don't know at that time if there were multiple shooters. You don't know if there could have been a shooter right there in the crowd. And they just happened to capture the perfect picture.
Does it matter if it's real? Does it matter if it's real? It's so emotional, and to me, do you think people would be angry if you just said we staged it?
I mean, some people would.
I think most people would. But here's the problem. I wouldn't. Does that make me crazy that I wouldn't? Does that make me, it does, huh?
Yeah.
It makes me crazy. I tell you right now, I'm not even kidding. I am not kidding. If he said we staged this whole thing, I would laugh. I would not be mad. I'm mad about Iran. I'm mad that we've gotten American servicemen, and I think it's just men, but I always say men and women. And if women got killed, I am sorry. The fact that anyone is dying for this war, I'm completely against. That makes me angry. It makes me angry that we've done this. It makes me angry that we're still giving Israel military aid. It makes me angry. But if he just came out and said, by the way, we rehearsed that. We staged it. It was a production. I'm personally not angry. I don't know what that says about me. I laugh. And you know what it is?
Tim's a comedian, but you guys get the gist of it. So let me ask you a question, because I want to make a comparison here. When Charlie Kirk was shot, what happened to the crowd? You go back and you see that video when Charlie Kirk was shot, what happened to the crowd? People started running, didn't they? Okay. So when we go back to this picture, and we're going to give a shout out to James Lee as well, because James Lee did a really good vid of this. When you go back and you look at this picture, these pictures, right? Don't you guys find it a little too convenient that the photographers felt safe? Trump felt okay to just stand up and put his fists up in the air? Then he went right to the Republican convention and he put this bandage on his ear. By the way, his ear looks fine to me. Have you seen his ear? His ear looks fine to me. So you get this picture because photographers ran over to capture it. Again, if the president was just shot at, wouldn't your first instinct be, let me duck, let me protect myself? I don't want to get shot. Again, you don't know how many shooters there are. How would you feel that safe to just walk up to the stage and take a picture? And I'm going to show you the close up in just a second. How would you feel that safe? Someone already said it. And thank you, Andre. Or not Andre, not that one. I'll come back to you, Andre. It's this one, N3. At this time, Harris was actually close to Trump in the polls at this time. After the shooting, Trump surged to victory. Remember when for those of you who've been rocking with me for a while, remember when I covered this story when it broke? And I told you that just helped Trump win the election. They were close. They were still close in the polls right before this. Now, according to her team, internal polling showed that she was never ahead of him. And they said that when they saw like polls on CNN, they were confused because they said their internal polling never showed that she was ahead of him in any state. Interesting, huh? Now, we're going to go to this video here by James Lee. James been doing a pretty good job of this. And he gets to the close up here. I want to show you guys. Watch this.
I don't know why this has never fully crossed my mind, but this picture is just too good to be true.
The president's been shot. Oh, no. No. Either that or they're covering. We don't know. Either that or they're covering him. We love you. We love you, President Trump. We love you. We love you, President Trump.
Right there. You see the photographers coming right up to the stage? Again, you at this point, you still have no idea if there's any other shooter around. You don't know if the coast is clear or not. The gunman wasn't even shot at this point. But they feel so safe to walk up to the stage and get this picture. He has the question here. Why are the cameramen being ushered in? Good question.
Thank you, Tony. We love you. Yes.
You guys see it, right? Why does it look like the flag is being lowered into position just as photographers are being ushered in to take photographs? Right there, no flag, and now there's a flag. Let's look at it again. Okay, there's no flag. Trump has just gotten up from being shot, and now the photographers are being moved into position. At this point, the camera angle basically stabilizes position, and then now you see the flag coming into frame. No flag, and then photographers getting in position, and then flag. Like, I don't know what's going on here, but something dark seems to be happening. Could Butler have been a stage event to communicate to Trump that he's under some kind of threat? Or was he maybe in on it to help him win the election, and once victorious, allow him to assume some kind of demonic role to usher in the end times? Which he says he's not. He's just a humble Red Cross doctor with demons above his head. But seriously, what the heck is going on?
Yeah, what is going on? And this is something else to think about too. Do we even know that that blood was real? They have the little blood packets that you can just go psh, psh. I know, because the kids used to have them for Halloween. They used to have them, and you know, it's like the fake blood, like packets and stuff that you can just press on your skin, and it looks like, oh, I'm bleeding, like that type of thing. Like, how do you know? How do we know? Do we? When Trump ducked down, he ducked down behind that podium. What happened behind the podium? Someone mentioned something here. Outside In said, was there any blood on the way down, or did they apply blood back? See what I'm saying? Like they use in Hollywood. Little explosive splat in red colored bag, or applied it when he ducked into cover. That's what I'm wondering. I didn't see a picture, and if you've seen it, guys, let me know. But I haven't seen a picture when Donald Trump was, you know, allegedly struck by that bullet, like grazed his ear or whatever. I didn't see blood coming from his ear at that point. I first saw it when he stood up. And honestly, given everything that's happened, the cover up of the Epstein files, the cover up Charlie Kirk's like murder, I honestly sit back and I say, it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me. What if the whole plan was to make it so that Trump would win so that he could usher in this phase that Israel wants? Now, Kamala belongs to AIPAC too. Don't get it twisted. She was still pro-Israel too. But Donald Trump was willing to do this at a quicker speed. Look how quickly he went to war with Iran. Bibi was excited when I'm just have to stop calling him that. Netanyahu was excited when Donald Trump won. He was happy. These are all things to think about. I'm not telling you it's necessarily one way or the other, but I will say this: fool me once, because, I grew up being told that just some random guy killed MLK. I grew up being told that just some random guy in the audience killed Malcolm X. I grew up being told all these different things, whether it was Fred Hampton, etc. Now, I'm not saying Trump is any of these people. Don't get it twisted. But I grew up being taught those things. And it wasn't until I became an adult I started to find out the truth. And now they admit these things. But for years, they continued to deny that the FBI and the CIA were involved in killing these people. That's why I say fool me once. You know what? It would not surprise me if it was all staged. It really wouldn't. And that should make you think about a lot of things. Because when we look at the numbers now, this is important because this is the number for independents that I want to focus on, because independents, they do tend to swing these elections one way or another. This is Donald Trump's job approval by party. Check this out.
31% of Republicans now disapprove of President Trump's behavior. That's a shocking number for someone who has commanded utter fealty from the GOP. Only 23% of independents do approve, and this all combined leaves you with a net approval rating overall of 33%. Just a dreadful number. 31% of Republicans now.
The number you want to pay attention to is independents. Only 23% approve, 76% disapprove, right? The party, for the most part, is going to stand by their politician. That's on both sides. However, in the past couple of presidential elections, it has been the independent vote that has really swung it in one direction or another. And independents really did show up to support Donald Trump in 2024. So he is losing them. Now, obviously, he cannot run again in 2028. So for him, he probably doesn't give a shit. He'll probably try to run again anyway, as crazy as he is. But it does say something about the Republican Party. If J.D. Vance were to run in 2028, which he most likely probably will, if he were to run, he's going to end up with the Kamala effect, which is the fact that even though he was not president, he was vice president. This is the same issue that Kamala Harris ran into. And so people will say you weren't president, but you were still vice president, and you agreed to a lot of these things that Donald Trump was doing. And that's what he may run into as well. So everybody sees it. The writing is on the wall. I honestly think even the kid that they said was the shooter, again, he's dead. So he can't talk. There's no trial. We don't even know if that kid was a patsy or not. We really don't know. Imagine if that had happened to Tyler Robinson, people wouldn't be asking as many questions. So I say question everything. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.